Welcome back to the Opportunity Zone. Nate Armstrong here, and I don't have my business partner here today, but since he took his first vacation in literally 6 years, and he's out there with his lovely wife right now, I'm going to put up a tribute photo. Here he is. Look at this. He's having some fun. Hopefully his wife and him are having an amazing time and they can celebrate her birthday in style. All right. Love you guys. Love you, Chris and Karen. All right, on with the show. So first off, I'm going to start with a quick Bible refresher, and then we're going to jump into the news. By the way, news-wise today, there is a lot going on. Literally, we have Trump removing barriers to build infrastructure in different states. Remember, a lot of talk has been had, like, what is Trump's antics? He's doing these crazy tariff things. He's messing with the dollar right now. All this stuff's going on. And there's actually architecture right now of him setting up real estate investors really, really well. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Secretary Scott Turner and what he's doing to literally lift people off of Section 8 and put them into home ownership. Imagine that, just as the program was originally intended. We'll talk about that. Okay. Memphis going through a major cleanup right now, literally just saw 6,800 people arrested in one short spurt. Okay. And then Minneapolis right now, they just voted something crazy. All landlords in Minneapolis, if you're even considering becoming a landlord or an apartment building owner or a syndicate or a limited partner in Minneapolis, you've got to hear what they just passed. It is crazy town USA. This is even worse than some of the fraud that's been going on for folks that are going to own real estate there. And then last but not least, we're going to cover today is we've got some lenders in the multifamily game that have stepped up their aggressiveness. They're literally snapping back properties. One of the big lenders, one of the big six, they feel that we've hit bottom completely, and now is their time that they can take properties, clean them up, and put them back out there. So all of that and more on today's show. It's going to be a big one. Okay. All right. Bible verse today. I am reading straight out of Psalms. Okay. Psalm 38, chapter 38. And if you remember in history, this is David, King David, before he's king. He was anointed, but he hasn't been crowned yet. Okay. And his enemies, this is him. He's saying, my enemies lay traps for me. I'm tired and sick. They threaten me. Now, this is the most important part. This is probably more important than anything else I'll say today. I want you to listen to this. But I am deaf to their threats. I am silent before them as one who cannot speak. I chose to hear nothing, and I make no reply, for I am waiting on you, O Lord. I was reviewing this with my boys this morning, and my 5-year-old, like, to really help him conceptualize things, we put it in simple terms. So I'm going to put this in 5-year-old terms. So you got a man that's about to become king, but he's got enemies all around him, surrounding him. And he's basically saying, you know what? I'm not going to listen to the threats. I'm not going to listen to them taunting me. I'm going to pretend that I'm deaf, and I'm going to wait on you, O Lord. And I don't know if you've ever gone through a tribulation or some kind of trial or some kind of feat where you had to ignore all the noise that's out there. But if you're going through it, or if you find yourself in it in the future, then pick up Psalms. Pick up Psalm, read chapter 38, listen to it. There's just words of wisdom that are in there. All right. Heavenly Father, I pray today that the folks that are listening to the Opportunity Zone really pick up the nuggets that are important, that can allow them to make good decisions for themselves, both personally and financially. We talk here a lot about different financial instruments and vehicles and investments, and I ask the God that you give me the wisdom to make it not boring, but instead something that can be enriching for everyone's life. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, let's continue onward, guys. So you guys got to see Chris and his wife on the cruise. That's them. Now I'm going to jump right into it. Trump removes barriers to building infrastructure in states. So what is happening with this? Well, that's Secretary Burgum, and what he's basically saying is that there was a whole bunch of headwind to building stuff in this country. And what they're doing right now is they're gutting it. They're basically pulling it back so that they can reduce the costs, not only just for taxpayers, but for us as buyers of getting stuff done, getting stuff built in this country. And I don't know if you have been through the building process, but my wife and I, we needed to do a modification to our house. And literally, we had to have it reviewed by a special committee. We were just installing some egress windows up in the attic space, and it had to go to a special committee of folks that knew nothing about construction as far as I'm concerned. They were like literally just community members that got appointed by somebody inside the city. And we had to go to the special committee and get approval from them because it was in the architectural district. And the special committee, they looked at the window design and literally they came back and they're like, we think that you should do 3 windows instead of 2. And then I had to plead my case. Like, we've already custom ordered these. Like, they fit the design. They match everything else. They're uniform this way. They're symmetric. And eventually they're just like, okay, fine. But that's the kind of red tape that we're facing as an individual. Imagine builders trying to build stuff in this country right now. It's only gotten worse over the last 10 years. And so the Trump administration is trying to gut it, and they are being successful thus far, and they're reducing the cost of building. They're making it much more efficient for us to get out there and build stuff. Okay, next up, I'm going to switch gears. We have Secretary Turner, who I admire this man. He's trying to make Section 8 literally what it was originally intended for. He's trying to make it a program where people get on it when they need a hand up, but it's not a forever hand out. So check this out.
About how when I first got onto the program in 2016, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just knew a voucher in a house, and I could go anywhere I wanted to go. And I had a job at a local grocery store, and I know that I had to maintain, I believe, 25 hours in order to stay in compliance with the program, so I did so, and I worked very closely with the LSS department and FSS as well to make sure that I was always in compliance doing what I needed to do. Only time I did not is when I was pregnant. That's the only time they heard from me, so that was a good thing. However, I did maintain a job working at the Housing Authority within that time frame of receiving my voucher, and as my pay increased, of course, my rent increased. So
what she's explaining so far is that she was in a program, and I can only, when I watch this, I can only infer that it's Section 8, but it was some type of HUD-backed program, and she's saying, hey, I had these rules that I had to follow, but I followed them. Now check out this next part.
They helped me become very self-sufficient in this program with the resources that they provided to me as well, and I shared that with people, participants on the program, anything that I can. And I also have became a homeowner in 2024 as well because and I couldn't have done that without the Housing Authority of Champaign County. They led me and gave me those pathways to become a homeowner, and I'm forever grateful for them. Thank you.
That's Scott Turner right there. Okay, that's Scott Turner, and he said from the beginning that these programs, they were not intended. He is the man in charge of HUD, okay? He said from the beginning that these programs were never intended to be lifelong handouts. They're a hand up to help somebody when they need it, but they're not lifelong forever, I'm going to keep giving you money, okay? And he has followed through on his promise, and now we can see this beautiful, what's this woman's name? Looks like her name is Alkila. I hope I'm saying that right. Congratulations, Alkila, by the way. I love hearing your story. That's why I wanted to bring it to the Opportunity Zone. I wanted to see what a hero like yourself is doing in action. You took this program, and now you've literally got to a point of self-sufficiency where you are now a homeowner. Congratulations. That's what we need for all of these programs. And I'm telling you guys right now, Chris and I have been sounding the alarms about this, but the Section 8 program, if you're relying on Section 8 or other subsidy-backed programs that are coming from HUD, be prepared for cutbacks. They are intentionally, they've stated from day number one that these are not forever. So they're pulling stuff back. And I'm really happy with the direction this is going. And we do market rate apartment buildings ourselves. We're not relying on Section 8 intentionally because we recognize that this administration's moving away from it. So make sure you're in the know on that. Now is not the time to be some Section 8 multimillionaire landlord because Section 8's getting pulled back. But I'm very, very happy for our country, and I'm happy for this new homeowner in the country as well. All right, next up, Memphis. Memphis has got the crackdown going on. I'm really happy about this because we have an asset in good old Memphis. We've got a couple of them, and we want them to perform well. The challenge that's been happening for a lot of Memphis owners is that the crime got out of control. You have a state, and I don't want to go political on you, but it's a red state. Tennessee is a red state. but there's certain districts of Tennessee that are considered blue. And Memphis, because of the local leadership, is considered that exactly. And I don't know who slipped or who passed the buck on this one, but crime started getting out of control. And it literally started pushing people out of at least the core city. People were fleeing to the suburbs and fleeing the area as a whole. It also stifled a lot of employers from wanting to make investment inside of companies. So it was really kind of a not such a good thing, but I'm very, very happy to say that this administration decided to go in there and strike big on the crime. And they sent in their task force, 6,801 people arrested so far. Imagine that. Cleaner, safer place. I love it. They took out 703 gang members. They took out 806 illegal immigrants. They were also recovered, and this is a big one, 148 missing children. Wow. Unbelievable that many kids could have been lost in one city, probably due to some type of trafficking, which is not okay. So thank you, God. Thank you for this administration. Clean up Memphis. Memphis will be great again soon. All right. Next up, this one's actually kind of painful for me to put up because I'm from this town. I'm from Minnesota, and I live in West Palm Beach now, Florida, but Minnesota is where I got my start. I literally bought my first rental property there in good old St. Paul, Minnesota. And they keep moving the bar more and more to become more like California. And it's scaring me. And this one just, you got to see this, guys. Okay. What happened is that Minneapolis just voted to double the time that residents, including illegals, have to pay rent before they get evicted. Okay. So what does that mean? Why is that bad, Nate? Isn't that a good thing, Nate? I know I'm going to get some hate mail on this one, and I welcome it. That's fine. But here's the thing. When you are making an investment in a piece of real estate, you need to have some type of predictability to it. You need to know with certainty that if you're going to have a mortgage, if you're going to have taxes, if you're going to have to pay the insurance company, if you're going to have to fix the place, keep the heat on in the winter, keep the snow shoveled all winter long, you're going to have those expenses. They come with the territory. You also have to know that you can collect rent. Anytime that the government steps in to start dictating when you can and when you can't collect rent, there is a bad thing that happens. What is it? Well, number one, you get less landlords that want to participate. You get less investors that want to put up dollars. They want to pony up dollars for that. And so Minneapolis, you just shot yourself in the foot. I'm so sorry, but in addition to all of the fraud that's been happening in that great state, now you just shot yourself in the foot more with investors. That's why we won't go into areas like that. If we're going to take $1 from an investor and promise a return of some kind, we have to be able to deliver that return. And when the government comes in and goes, nope, you can't do that, you're going to have to give these people more time. The more time, by the way, it's typically not something that actually helps people. I get that there's one-off scenarios. And for those one-off scenarios, there are a lot of subsidies that step in to help. In fact, my business partner, Chris, he helps manage one of those. Literally, I've seen them where they cut checks for folks that are behind on rent right before they're about to get evicted. There's a lot of churches that do it. The Salvation Army does some degree of it. Like there's a lot of subsidies out there that help that. But for the state, for the government to come in and just mandate, hey, you just got to give them more time, double the amount of time, that makes unpredictable returns for investors. It makes it unpredictable to know when you're going to have enough money to pay the mortgage, pay the taxes, pay the insurance. Therefore, you drop the overall supply of housing in that marketplace. What does that do? It increases the prices too. It just backfires all the way around. It's no good. I'll get off my soapbox on that now. Okay, next up, found this very interesting. Globe Street is reporting that aging America forces new math for apartment investors. What does this mean? It means that the average age in the United States of America is getting a little bit older. And there's specific areas of the country where the young folks are and where the older folks are. It's interesting to see, but Utah has the average of the youngest right now. Now, why does this matter? Well, because apartments, they typically house people before they transition into their houses. Yes, I know there's exceptions. There's some people that live in apartment buildings forever. There's also senior housing that are apartment buildings. I get it. But I'm talking about an average. when you're building an apartment, you need to know, or if you're going to own an apartment building, you need to know who your clientele is, who's going to rent it from you. And it's generally folks that this is before their starter house. They're living in an apartment for some period of time. So that average age, it's usually in the 30s, sometimes late 20s, depends on the geographic area. Sometimes it stretches to the 40s. Again, it depends on the geographic area. But what Globe Street is reporting that the average age, number one, has moved up, but then number two, it's probably because it's less affordable to buy a single family house right now. Have you seen it out there? It's why houses aren't even selling right now. So, but number two, the geographic areas have changed quite a bit as well. So in this report, it's literally showing that areas, I just had it, Louisiana was one of them. Let me put that back on the screen. Louisiana was one of them. You also had a couple spots in Tennessee, including Nashville was a younger crowd. But the youngest in the entire country is in Utah right now. And then you got up areas like Maine that are in the opposite spectrum where the crowd is much, much older. All right, next one. We have reported in the past about this executive order that Trump signed, basically banning investors from owning a lot of single family houses. He says New York. He says institutions. He's like saying basically big firms, but it could apply to imply you and I as well. And what they basically said is, hey, if you own more than 100 single family houses, then you can't do it. Like, you can keep what you got, but you can't buy any more. So anybody else that's trying to stack up a bunch of single family rentals, they're putting the kibosh on that. Meanwhile, both the House and the Senate are pushing their versions of their bills through to somewhat match what the executive order is, but also incorporate what they think is important. So you've got a bipartisan bill on the table right now. Senator Warren from the Democratic side was the original pusher of it. But what's happening is there's some big pushback coming right now, because what they found in that bill is that it could literally, you can see it right here, it could literally stifle the amount of B2Rs we see. What is a B2R, Nate? It means a build to rent. Okay, did you know that there's literally communities right now that builders, big firms, a lot of money, it might even be money from investors like you and I, that get put into building new construction, townhouses, single-family houses, that are entire communities that are built to rent, okay? They're saying, hey, this could really cap us. You're basically saying that we can't even own more than 350 units. And for a lot of these firms, there's economies of scale. They can't get to their metrics that entice investors to come in on the deals unless there's enough units. And so they're saying, hey, you could do one community with 350 units, but you can't do a second to get 700 units. That could literally take a lot of the players out of the game. So if they do not amend what is on the table right now, my prediction is that a lot of this capital will be forced to flow back into multifamily, forced to build multifamily, forced to buy existing multifamily, which is just going to put more pricing pressure on multifamily in this country. If they do amend it, which they might, because they're trying to bash them upside the head right now to get them to do something, then that pressure could be taken away. You'll see these build to rent communities still being established. Whew, interesting. All right, next one. You've got Arbor, which is one of the top 6 lenders or brokers in the country for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans. So just think of them as a giant lender for big stuff, for multifamily buildings. They're one of the biggest in the country, okay? And right now they're getting very aggressive with anyone who's in default on their multifamily loans. What does that mean, Nate? Well, what's happening, and their CFO and president got interviewed in this article, and they're basically saying, hey, look, we think that the market has already bottomed out. We know it has based on their data. And so we feel very comfortable taking back properties right now. So what was happening last year and the year before is when a multifamily operator went into default, the lender would say, okay, I'm going to give them a little more time. I'm going to give them just a little more time. And they were extending and pretending. You might have heard the term before, extend and pretend. Well, they did the whole extend and pretend thing for like the last 18 months or so. And now they've come and they've drawn a line. They're saying enough's enough. We think the market's in a prime spot for us to do takebacks. We're going to start doing takebacks. And so that's what's happening right now. So consequently, you might see some incredible deals come through that are owned by the lender, literally foreclosures. You might remember back in 2010 in this country when there were a bunch of single family houses on the chopping block for foreclosure. They literally got taken back by the lender and then sold at discounted prices to people like you and me. We bought hundreds of them during that time, actually bought over 1,000 during that time. And so that is happening, or that could be happening right now with multifamily properties. And so this is actually an exciting time. It's not a scary time. A lot of people might get a little bit nervous and think, well, goodness, doesn't that make it, rough for owning multifamily? No. Warren Buffett said that when other people are greedy, you should be scared. And then what? When other people are scared, you should be greedy. This is the time when it's like, grab this stuff. Take these once in a generation assets away from the folks that, mismanaged or did whatever they did wrong. Take them from them and bring them into your portfolio. This is the time for that. This is the time where I think 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, whoa, that value just doubled. It did a little more than doubled. Look at all the cash flow kicked out. Look at all the tax breaks I got from it. This is that window right here, right now. Okay. Last thing, and this will lead me to the final. If you have been waiting for the right deal to get into, I'm going to encourage you to attend our deal launch. Now, this deal, we just found a killer deal. This deal, it's totally off market. It wasn't listed on any platforms, no LoopNet, no Crexy, nothing like that. Never got listed out there. But this particular deal, literally, we're sending it out to our internal investors first. And then those of you that are on our wait list, you actually probably already got an email about this. If you didn't, just check your folder, check your spam folder, whatever. But we're sending this out to the folks that we already work with and those that are on our wait list. This deal is a killer deal. Literally, we're getting it at about 65% of what it appraised for just a few years ago. Now, you might say, well, Nate, how on earth? Why do you get it so discounted? Put the word deal in the comments, DEAL, put the word deal, and our team can shoot you over this link so that you can be part of the deal launch, okay? We'll get you on our investor wait list, and then we'll make you part of this investor launch. I will be going live on site for this. I'll be literally going around showing you, all the nooks and crannies and what the asset looks like and all that kind of stuff. But it is a beautiful, beautiful property. Like literally, this is one that probably will only come once every cycle like this. The last time that I saw a cycle like this was 15 years ago. And yes, there's other deals that are out there. I'm not saying like, oh my goodness, it's the only one in the world. But I am saying after looking at literally hundreds of deals over the last couple of years, very closely, we've looked at well over 1,000 to narrow it down to just hundreds that we look at closely. And this one checks the box all the way across the board. Massive tax benefits, massive IRR, and then just a very, very good basis on it. Basis means we're coming in so low on it relative to the value on the property that even if something went terribly wrong, we have a lot of room. There's a lot of room on this one. It's very hard to get them with that much room on it. So if you'd like to be part of a deal that literally could be a once in every 15-year opportunity, then make sure you're on our wait list, make sure you're getting the emails from us, and you attend the deal launch with us on Wednesday next week. Okay? So just type deal in the comments and we'll get that information over to you. On that note, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Opportunity Zone. Next week, I'll have Mr. Lavin back. So if you enjoy the humor from Mr. Lavin and the additional comments, then he'll be back in action with us next week. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.